the reason why I'm getting at this is because that's the whole reason for marketing to smaller groups, is that you want groups who are people who are influencing their friends. And I can tell you right now that if you look into the really scientific magazines, there is nothing that has been able to be duplicated that makes this idea true, that influencers influence other people.
But why else would you?
How do you get that? I see it every day. Scientific magazines aren't necessarily tracking keyword searches in web.
I'll tell you what.
Conversations.
I'll share with you the info that I have on that later.
Yeah, I think there's a well-established body of research on both sides of that debate, and
interesting.
I don't think that the answer is clear.
Can I throw out a quote? So this one's for Kent, since this quote's by Rand Fishkin, who's considered a god in the search marketing industry. He says, the majority of marketers who engage in social media do so not, in all caps, because it produces greater ROI, but because the metrics are more immediately tangible and emotionally rewarding.
I believe I tweeted that out this morning, just to help you guys out a little bit. I totally agree that social media is so emotionally rewarding. It's kind of scary. It's like a new kind of crack. Like, somebody tweeted me, somebody retweeted me, somebody faced me, somebody liked me, somebody you faced, whatever. And but at the end of the day, I go back to how many rooms did we book at Hotel Lucia through social media, and I look at how many bales of yarn, or however they measure that at Lion Brand, did we sell. And that's only one metric that they made that will shut these guys up. But it's the engagement and the glad bag effect. How many sales, how many new customers do we get because people talked about Lion Brand nonstop? And when they were at the aisle at Michael's, they were like, Lion Brand or non-brand? They're like, people keep talking about Lion Brand. We're gonna go buy that. Well, we can't track that, but we know we could look at all the other reverse focus group and panel studies and all that. But the point is that we can measure really compelling ROI just on what we can measure, just like Kelly can at Intel, and then we can, with really expensive traditional research, we can measure everything else.
So when you're measuring ROI, when you're talking to clients, what percentage of the ROI do you argue comes down to pushing a message out to broadcasting versus ROI from listening? What do you tell your clients, and what do you really believe in your heart of hearts?
Well, I'll put it this way. The way I pitch social, and again, I'm not trying to come over this way a little bit, but it's not the panacea, because you're not necessarily going to be an overnight millionaire unless you invented Farmville. But otherwise, it's just going to be this thing where you spend 1 hour and you get 2 new customers, and that 1 hour was worth exponentially more than what you spent in doing just about anything else. That's all it is. It's little incremental wins that the hour put in or the money put in, because now it's free, got this much more. But we also look at engagement metrics and likes and shares and retweets and at replies, and all those have some sort of value. But it's all about looking at any typical sales funnel and saying that an email subscriber is worth this, a like or a share is worth that. It's all about getting granular on it, and you can reverse, monetize all
So the ROI is 90% in measurable sales versus listening and collecting actionable information that's not.
Well, I would love to figure out how much an insight to a new product evolution would be, like with Leatherman, turn this circle into a hex wrench and suddenly millions of more products are moved. I don't know what the liability issues are when you take other people's ideas for your products. That's why I think Parker Brothers doesn't accept any new board game ideas, because they don't want the liability. But when it comes to social media and your fans and your followers are helping you make a better product and you listen, they won't shut the hell up. So just to give you a little quick story, I was in Singapore at a hotel, and I got a web survey. This is, email survey. It said, how was our stay? And I still had one more night there, and I was like, why the hell would you send me a survey one day before I leave? So I filled out and said, yeah, it's fine. The bed's a little firm, but otherwise it's a nice place. I got back I was teaching a workshop there. I got back at 5. I was feeling a little sick, so I got in bed at 5 o'clock, and at 5:05 the phone rings and said, how's the new bed? And so they actually read the survey at 1, and between 1 and 4 replaced my bed mattress. And so now I can't stop talking about it. Well, it has nothing to do with social media other than that I can't stop talking about it in social media. So I tweeted, I blogged about it, and suddenly if you're gonna stay at the Pan Pacific in Singapore, my blog might be somewhere in your research and say, wow, these guys get it. So our other hotel clients are all over it. Why would you do a survey after people leave and tell them, I would have replaced your bed next time you come. Well, I don't care. But if you replaced it while I was still there, I'm like, hallelujah, you know? So again, back to, I'm sorry, Kelly, the point is this isn't about social, this is about marketing and just good fucking business. And so you can use these tools to make forward your business, so why the hell wouldn't you?
Katie Payne, who is a leading metrics analyst within social media, says that the only meaningful metric you should track in social media is decrease of cost. So if you can cut back on your marketing budget and spread your message via social media in viral ways, then you've made something right. Or if you can cut back your market research dollars and get feedback through online social interaction through your customers and your communities online, then you've saved yourself cost. I don't know that I completely agree, because I do think that there are other specific metrics that you can track, but that's one of the things that she says. Really, truly, if you want just one tangible, something you can actually touch, it's decrease of cost.
Jerry, what's your take on the relationship between sales and versus being able to sneak into people's rooms and switch out their beds?
Well, I think it's a great story. I love that kind of stuff. And it gets back to whether or not a company is listening and really responding to their customers. I will give you a little quote that was sent to me by Dave Allen today, who knew I was going to be in the hopper. And this is a quote from Chris Anderson of Wired and The Long Tail. And it goes something to the effect of, in social media marketing, it should be about tracking individual behavior and preferences and giving users the ability to draw upon connections between them and other users to do something useful. That's
add value,
the point.
Right? Add value, yeah.
Right. So it's not about inserting yourself into that realm. It's about helping people make connections and helping their lives. And that's what I want to see. I don't want to see a promotion that says, hey, come on in and we'll give you 10 cents off a donut.
But let's put it this way, like, so Blendtec, will it blend? So they blended an iPhone. Like, no value to Apple or to people that might want a blender, but guess how many blenders they sold? Because it was relevant. They showed they could vaporize a cellular phone, so they probably could do pretty good work on fruit. You know, so my point is, the value was, you know, we still know that the most things that we pass along in social media are animals smelling their fingers and passing out, or peeing on something, or people doing something to somebody else. And
kitties, kitty cats, right?
Cats and dogs and people on motorcycles. So it doesn't, the value...
Where are you going with this?
The value is that it could just be a flip and laugh. So don't get too heavy on us, Jerry.
Harry, how do you feel about animals smelling their fingers and passing out?
Well, as everyone who knows me well knows, both my cats have Twitter accounts.
We know, Carrie.
So obviously I'm all about the animals. But I do have
I think one of them just took a shit on your floor.
It could happen. Actually, the new ones have never done that. But I have two takeaways for marketers. And I think one is that something that I never ever hear anyone discussing, and I think that social media is going to create a bigger chasm between big business and small business, because it's really hard to scale, and because it is so new and it requires so much research, you have to have people who have the time and willingness to figure it out, and small business doesn't really have that capability unless you just have a couple of people who are super passionate about that and want to just put in extra time and not get paid for it. But I think it's going to create a bigger chasm. It's going to create better opportunities. It's going to create more Walmarts and fewer Main Street businesses. And then my other takeaway is that when you don't own the message, you have to have contingency plans.